and that's not helpful to the world. So be yourself. There's only one you, and you are freaking amazing. You are freaking the conqueror of the world. You are a king.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Infinite Abilities Podcast. I am your host, Nick Yerhart, and we are here to encourage each other to find our own unique abilities. Let's go. All right, everyone. I'm so excited for this episode. This guy's name is Atlas. Like, how cool is that, Atlas? But no, he's just remarkable. He's done a lot. He's accomplished a lot, and he's just all around a great guy. So I can't wait for him to share his experiences and share with you what he does. All right, Atlas, can you give us a quick little summary of what you do?
Yeah, really quick. Thanks, Nick. I mean, it's hard to follow. You kind of set me up, and now I feel like the pressure on my back. Like I gotta deliver. I know
you will. So
yeah. Right now, I have the ability to do the things that I want to do and nothing else, and that's a good feeling. Everyone aspires to get there. And a lot of people think it's like F you money, right? They're like, I have F you money. For me, I don't need a lot, so I entered into that mode a lot earlier than I think a lot of people who want Ferraris and Lamborghinis and all the stuff that don't matter to me do that. But I do stages. I've written 5 international best-selling books. I'm number 1 in 13 categories on Amazon, so I'm writing another book because apparently people read them. And then I have a course that I do based off of piracy, where I teach people how to engage on their inner pirate selves and how they can use their brain as the captain and their body as the crew to come up with a new version of themselves. And that's been fun. I call it professional mutiny. So I get involved in larger organizations, really large organizations lately. And I will come in and explain to them how they can control their lives, and then explain to the company what their crew thinks is stupid, because there's always stupid rules everyone has to follow. And I seem to get those out in the professional mutiny, and then I give them the options on how to change it and then when to change it. And then I tell their leadership it's going to change. This is how they're going to do it. And I've been getting a lot of good results out of that personally, at the personal level, and then at the team level, and then, of course, the organization level. So those are the things I do now. What I have done in order to the did is what I think John Maxwell used to say. You have to do the did before you do the do. That's what I do now.
I actually just seen John Maxwell live about a month ago. And he went over the whole, you got to do the did to do the do. And man, that hit me so hard. I had never heard him talk about that until that point. And I was just like, wow, that is gold and so true.
It's so, like, I've been using it ever since I heard it. I think I got it off of a short. I think I saw it on a YouTube short. I was like, that's good. So what I did to get here, before the books, before the stages, before the TED Talk, all that stuff, I was in the Air Force. I joined at a very early age. I joined as early as possible because I wanted to get out of my hometown and leave my adopted family, which they were great. It's just, I wanted to start my own life. And I did that, went in the Air Force, changed the way the Air Force promotion system works by using some things that my mom taught me. And I share that story on my TEDx talk. But I went from there, started working for high-ranking people, the highest-ranking people in the military, 3- and 4-star generals. And I was doing, I guess it's like email printing is what you would call it, to layman's term. But I was taking all of their decisions and making sure that they went to the right people. So email was new when I was 17. It was like, that's almost 40 years ago, 30 years ago. That's almost 30 years ago. I'm not that old yet. So I used to print out their emails, and I used to monitor their decisions, and I kind of like fell into this study of like how leaders make decisions. And then they sent me through college. I have 4 degrees now. I was a commander multiple times. I've been a director of special operations out in Afghanistan. I helped on special missions in Iraq. I have a lot of military credentials, combatives instructor, all of the cool guy organizations. But I wasn't doing the cool guy jobs. I was making sure that the cool guys could be cooler. So when you're in charge of things, you don't get to do things like everyone else expects you would. So whenever they find out that I was in special operations or the White House, they are like, "Hey, well, how was the White House?" And I'm like, "Well, President Obama was really cool." And they're like, "Did you live there at the White House?" I'm like, "I did." I would do it for a couple days, and then I would switch with someone else because we had that whole role. But people think that you're like the guy on TV that they see, and you're like, well, I was kind of the guy that you see on TV in the background.
Right. Yep.
So all that stuff is what I did, and then I graduated out of that, and now I get to spread my lessons from almost 30 years, 3 decades of leadership study and application in 30 countries with whatever I got, 27 whatever medals that they gave me that don't matter because no one cares about that.
Well, I think it matters. I think it does. I mean, it's hard when it's you. You're like, oh yeah, I did that. What you do? Yeah, that's kind of how it is. But to other people, it really says a lot. You accomplished a ton. You worked hard, and you got to where you are today because of everything like that you did.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. I appreciate that, man. Yeah. So you have been busy.
I have. Yes.
I mean, I cannot imagine your life right now. So, and we've been talking about doing this for a while, so it's been great to like dialogue with you for so long. I hope this doesn't fall off as now that we're doing the show, because I still want to. I see your content a lot. You're doing a lot of great content.
Yeah.
So you're in the podcast world now.
I am. Yeah, and I'm only 6 weeks in, but this is my 47th episode.
Isn't that crazy?
6 weeks. So yeah, I've been just hammering on this because I love doing it. It's fun. Like, yeah, I get to meet incredible people like you, and like what's really cool is I get to have experts on my show.
Yeah,
and therefore,
cool.
I get to learn from experts without having to buy their programs or anything like that. So it's like a win-win all the way around. So yeah.
I'm a big fan of podcasting, and when we started talking and you started telling me how the show was going to go and how you were going to bring in these guests, I was like, this show is going to have legs and it's going to grow like crazy. So it's an honor to be on your show.
Thank you.
Your whole background and story and where you are now appeals to me because I feel we had very similar but different lives where there's a lot of people that would totally accept me like being a hometown guy as an adopted kid, going and working at Honda and then, just going home to a medial life. And I decided I don't want to do that. I want to do something different. And I see the same thing happen with you. And so that mindset, can we talk about that mindset a little bit?
Course.
Because I want to just dig in. And I know you've always had these conversational things on your podcast. So I want to have a conversation on that mindset. What made you think like, I want to do this podcasting thing?
Yeah, so I kind of want to back it up a little bit. So my dad was an entrepreneur. He started his company when I was, 16, 17 years old. So, I watched him build his company. I worked for him. Yeah. I became the supervisor of the company. I was the guy that everybody went to. So, I learned a lot about leadership during the time. And when I started that role, I was not a good leader. I sucked. I had that whole, I'm the boss, you better listen to me. kind of mentality.
Yeah.
And as you know, that is not the way that you help your people. So I learned a lot, and I learned, work with people, care about others, and they will want to help you out, instead of you having to tell them to do everything, they're just going to want to help you out. So it was a really good, cool learning experience. And I've always had this gut feeling that I was going to be successful.
Yeah.
Now, during that time, I thought that was just going to be me taking over our company and growing out, and that's just what my life was going to be.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, I lost my dad in 2019 to brain cancer.
Mm.
Therefore, we sold his company, and I was like, huh. Now what? Because now my whole life just got turned around in about every word possible. I lost my mentor, my best friend, the guy that was always there for me.
Yeah.
And I also lost my job and my company. So I was like, oh crap. So that was kind of my first little, okay, what can I do for myself? How can I help people and make sure that I'm not going to have to rely on a job to live?
Mm-hmm.
Because what I've learned since then, I've been at 2 different jobs since then, and you can be working one day, all good, next day you're gone. Yeah. That's just how it is. So I started my business because I wanted to help others. I realized that God put me here the way I am with cerebral palsy because I can use what I've gone through and the strength that I've occurred because, I got to fight through every day to really go out and help others. So that's what I'm here to do. And then, I started the podcast because I want to help more people.
Yeah.
And I think podcasting is really growing.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays, it's just like booming. Mm-hmm. So I was like, all right, let's start a show because, number one, I get more long form content from my social media, which is going to help. And then number two, like the people I can meet through my podcast, like you never know what one connection could do. I mean,
so true.
I can meet one person that completely changed my life.
I love that. Okay. So very similar story, but instead I lost my mom, and same thing. My number one rock that always had my back, the one I could call on anything. I lost her, and then I started realizing that, I need to start being that person that people can rely on. And now that my mom's gone, I have to step into new roles, and I need to help more people. And where a lot of people come out of my community and in the Air Force or in the military, where they come out, they go right into another job, and they get another job, and they play it safe, or they do something for themselves. And I don't want to take that path. Just like you, man, I'm not going to do that. That doesn't help more people. You have to step out of the comfort zone, look for what opportunities are there. And right now I'm with you. It's podcasting, but helping people. I'll give your listeners some things that people are talking about right now. Right now, the thought process, the thought leaders are talking about do something hard. You have to do something hard in order to grow. And they have it wrong. They have it wrong. And this is why.
Okay.
So you're going to hear, you might even see it on a stream after you get done listening to this podcast. If you're listening to this right now, this is what you're going to hear. Everyone's going to say, you have to show up, and you have to be at the gym, or you have to do something that you don't want to do every day. Here's the reality. Everyone who has a freaking job does something they don't want to do every day. So if that's true, if that ideology is sticking with everyone, then everyone's growing every day. Well, we know that that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
The point that's missing is something you're only going to get on the show because I've never said it before. And this is what it is. You have to do something that you don't want to do that improves you.
Mm-hmm.
It has to improve you in order to make that benefit happen in your brain. And what that'll do is, all the science has proven it, it will click in your brain that you're able to do more next time. So It's just like going to the gym. If you're like I'm a professional, but I used to do bodybuilding when I was in my 20s, and I had to do more weight every time if I wanted to gain muscle. I had to eat more food every time if I wanted to gain muscle. I had to watch everything that was going into my body. It's the same thing, except for now you have to watch all the content that's going into your head. You have to watch the books that you're reading. You have to watch your sleep schedule, and you have to watch breathing. So that right there, do something that you don't want to do that improves you, not that you just don't want to do, because a lot of people are stuck on that same moment because they're going to work. They don't want to go to work. They don't want to sit in traffic. They get to sit in traffic. They don't want to. They are looking at it from a different lens that doesn't improve their thoughts or their situation. So I want to give that. And then we can go into breathing if you want to. That's the other one I love.
I love that. Yeah. I do breathing exercises multiple times a day. So yes, I would love to get your take on that.
Yeah, so studies are showing that a lot of people are doing what they're calling breath work. According to recent celebrities, we were all female, by the way. They're going into what they're calling breath work. A lot of people would meditate, or they'll focus on their breath. And a lot of people don't really see the benefit because they don't know how to do it. So I'll give your listeners the way to get immediate results. And it's something that I learned in the special operations community and through a couple of my leadership schools. Whenever we got into a stressful situation, we were told to breathe like this. And it's called box breathing. And box breathing works like this on the standard form, but I'm going to exponentially increase it to where you can use it throughout your life, the rest of your life, to do a lot of different things. What box breathing looks like traditionally is you breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold for 4 seconds, you breathe out for 4 seconds, and you hold for 4 seconds. And that's completing a cycle. If you have ever breathed in unison, like counting up to 10 and then breathed out to 10, that's almost a similar type of exercise. But what happens when you engage that exercise is your brain starts to connect with your body. And then the nervous energy that you have turns into excitement, because your body doesn't see the difference between nervousness and excitement. So whenever you start to program it that every time you're nervous, you're really excited, you can start to perform whenever you need to, instead of what am I doing here? Why am I here? Why did I sign up for this? Your body turns into, okay, now what are we doing? And so the 4 seconds, take it down to 3 seconds next week, 2 seconds the week after that, and 1 second. And then you can do what I do. And I do my portion in my book. It's called 3 breathing. I count to 3, 1, 2, 3, and I hold my breath until I get that feeling. Because at 4 seconds, I started recognizing the feeling. At 3 seconds, I noticed it. And 2 seconds, I was like, that's the feeling. And when I started doing the 1 second box, I was like, okay, I'm getting it. I'm getting it. I'm getting it. And now I can do it just like that. Why does that matter? Because when I step on a stage or in a TV studio or I'm getting ready to do a podcast, I can go, and I'm ready. I just felt it. 3 seconds that no one notices because they're all waiting for you to say something. So that's something immediate that you can apply to church, to family, to your work, to the supermarket. It doesn't matter. Start working on that. But the statistics are saying that a lot of people aren't doing breath work, and therefore they're leading more stressful lives because it decreases your stress. And they're starting to get into other situations they can't get into. And they're starting to see all these health benefits from breathing, but they're not doing it long enough to figure it out. So that's the easiest one that I give to everyone. That I'm getting a lot of good feedback on that. Box breathing to 3 breathing. That's how it's done.
I love it. Well, I know what I'm going to be working on. Oh, I love it. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of
Thank
course.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
So yeah, let's get back to the mindset thing.
yeah,
You know, I was, I have this. So let's go. So 3 years ago, I was very down in a dark place, depressed, suicidal,
mhm,
all that. Shortly after I lost my dad,
yeah,
didn't know what I was doing, and it was just a hard time. And I knew either I gotta change, or there's only one thing that's gonna happen.
mm,
So I decided I'm gonna change. I'm gonna fix myself, and I started listening to podcasts, reading books. I
yeah,
learned how to accept myself for who I am,
yeah,
how to love myself, and through all of that, the amount of good things that have came since, and the way I feel about myself,
that's good.
I was like, I want to share this with the world. So
Yeah,
that's just what got me started in all of this. It's just like, I fixed my mindset. I got the help I needed. I got
mm,
myself a coach. I did
yeah,
all the things, and now I am much, much happier because
yes,
once you can start to look at the positive in almost any situation, even the bad ones,
yep.
your whole life will improve.
It's very true. Well, the other part
Yeah.
of it is professionals have coaches. Look at
Mm-hmm.
any sports team that gets paid
Yep.
millions of dollars. The players get paid millions of dollars. They all have coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
the stigma of I'm not going to get a coach, I can figure it out. You can have that stigma, and you will
Yep.
find out real quickly that it's better to go with somebody than go alone. So
Yep.
I like the fact that you said that, and I think you do coaching now, right? So
I do. Yep.
yeah, so I do three people a year. Because I don't want golden handcuffs, and like I spend a
Mm-hmm.
lot of time with my clients to make sure that they're good to go. And one of the
Yeah.
things on mindset specifically is, you got to realize it's all on you.
Mm-hmm.
So
It
hiring a
is.
coach is the realization that it
Mm-hmm.
is all on you, and that you need somebody else to help you
Mm-hmm.
with you, or you'll not retrieve the true potential that you could reach without a client, a coach
Yep.
relationship.
Yep.
It's looked at with a different lens. So I love
Mm-hmm.
that that journey has turned into something. And
Mm-hmm. Me too.
mindset wise, I've gone through a lot of what I like to call stress levels. So throughout my career, I've been introduced to new stresses. And the way the military does it is they give you an opportunity to perform or excel. And a lot of people perform when
Mm-hmm.
I was told very early I needed to excel. So
Mm-hmm.
every opportunity I was given, I would do what I was asked plus a little bit more. And I would do a
Mm-hmm.
little bit more and more and more every time I was asked to do it, to where whenever I was asked to do it, they knew it was, I never got a question of how it's going to get done, because they knew I was going
Mm-hmm.
to do it better than I did it last time. And that
Yeah.
mindset is something that carried me into other jobs. It's what opened a door to the White House. I mean, I was
Mm-hmm.
in the office getting a feedback session from one of my bosses, and they were like, "Hey, would you like to work at the White House?" I'm like, "I can do that." And they're like, "You can. We will get you an application, and in a couple of years of the process of getting the right clearance, having the same clearance as the president of the United States takes time. And then,
Yep.
checking your finances and your background so you don't bring discredit on the office of the president of the United
Mm-hmm.
States, not the president, the office of the president of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time. So whenever I got in there and I started doing the things there, it was awesome. Then I found myself in the same team with other people who thought like me, because all the people who were in that organization, the agency that I worked for, the White House Communications Agency is what it's called. Everyone who was in that organization was selected to be there because they outperformed everyone. It's the top 1% of the top 1%. So if you're there for a reason. So now what? That was it was really stressful for me, because all these people already performed and I was trying to help them perform more. And I realized this is coaching. All I'm doing is coaching. It's like, okay, I like what you did there. Can we do it faster? And then the answer would come, and I'd be like, why don't we try that? And it was all experiments, and we would experiment all day long. The mindset of experimenting instead of trying led to it's okay to fail because the next time we know we're not gonna. And that mindset blew me out of the water because we started moving faster and faster and faster and doing bigger and bigger and bigger things. And I have a whole story on how I switched mindsets while I was at the White House. If you want me to talk about that, I can. But that was a growth moment for me. And then I realized it's all stress levels. Everything life gives you is just a stress level test. Are you going to overcome this test, or are you going to get stuck here? Because a lot of people get stuck in the same stress, and they live it over and over and over.
They do. Yeah. And, they tend to not even try to get out of it. They just kind of sit there, stress out over the same things every day, day in, day out. And that's no way to live. It's not.
No, it's not. It's not.
Figure it out and move on,
Yeah.
So, I mean, this show is about you. This is your episode.
Yeah.
Whatever value you want to bring, you got the floor. You can do what you want.
Well, I'll stay with the White House story then. So I was in Indonesia for my first ever overseas trip, and I was in charge of an event site. And my job was to make sure that the president could be the president. So while he was there, if he needed to make a decision, he could make that decision. If he needed to sign some paperwork, he could sign some paperwork. If he needed to talk to somebody. And I worked with the White House staff, agencies, and I worked with the Secret Service, and then all of the military entities that go into a trip like that, like Air Force One, HMX, the people who drive the cars, and just a host of things that a lot of people don't know. A lot of the military elements of the Office of the President of the United States are pretty secretive. They don't like talking about it. Yeah. But in order to get there, you have to be an A+ person. And so the military really values that stuff. So I was there, and my job was to make sure that I got a phone and an office space and the ability for him to like video conference, wherever he wanted to talk to, whoever he wanted to talk to. So I came with the phone. I didn't leave it at the device, and they were like, hey, you can't bring that phone in. And I'm like, oh, it's coming in. And this guy's like stopping. Like he shows up with this black kind of pajama uniform thing. I don't know what that means, but apparently those are the people you don't want to mess with in Indonesia. And so the guy I was talking to was the leader of their Secret Service, and he was making sure that the security was top notch. And so I was like, I'm bringing in this device, and he's like, no, you're not. So me being me, I'm like, how do I make sure I can get this in? And I got, well, if you can get a diplomatic note, we'll let it in. And that's an impossible thing to get. But I got it in like 30 minutes. Like under an hour, I had this thing. And he got mad. So he's like, follow me. So I'm carrying this little box with a phone in it, right? And he brings me into this back room. And I look around. And there's a bunch of people wearing these black pajama uniforms. I'm like, I'm about to get jumped. So I immediately went into guard. At this time, I had just passed my instructor certification for combatives at the tactical unit that I was just a part of. I was a bouncer in college. I studied martial arts throughout my life. I have no problem getting in a fight. And the first thing I teach everyone is if you're going to potentially get into any argument, or if there's potential threat, you immediately put your hands up. When you put your hands up, your hands are protecting your face. They're able to see if something's going to come to your left or your right. You can see everything if your hands are in front of you, and they are disarmed. So I have my hands up, and this guy, he hit me right in the face. He came right across, and I had my hand like this, just pushed over. He got me in the face, and I looked at him because I've been hit before. I was like, you just hit a diplomat of the United States, and I pulled out my diplomatic badge. I'm like, that is not something that's going to be good for you. And I grabbed my box and I left. And so in that moment, that was the first time I've ever been hit in the face and not been able to hit them back. The agency, the training that I went through said, if you get into a fight, you're kicked out of the agency. So I'm thinking, holy crap, am I going to lose my job? Is the agency going to kick me out? I mean, I worked for years to get here. A lot of hard work went in here. So all of this is cycling through my head as I just got hit in the face, and I can't do anything about it. So when I left, I had to cycle through the emotions, and that internal battle, the one that you talked about earlier in the show, that's a real battle, man. That's a real battle. So whenever you start going through it, and you have to go through it fast because you're getting calls like, hey, I heard you just got hit. I'm like, I did. They're like, we're going to talk about it when you get there. I am in no place to talk about getting hit in the face. You know, my first trip ever, I did not expect that, and then not be able to do anything about it. I felt like my manhood was ripped out, and that, I was like, oh, what are people going to think about me? Who cares? I did the right thing.
Who cares?
So, yeah, I cycled through all the emotions, but then I realized, like, I don't have to answer violence with violence every time. And that was the door that got open for me at the White House. Like, diplomatic or not, I was definitely a different person after that job. And that opened up a different mindset for me that I had not been exposed to. But in reality, I unlocked a whole new life because I started looking at everything different. Everything. And that's what I do for my clients now, is looking at their lives and their mindset and saying, all right, this is what I think you are dealing with. And it's always the same thing.
I know, right?
It's always the same thing. But you can't tell them that they're not special and unique. You just have to tell them how they can overcome their whatever they've got going on. And it's usually special and unique to them how they can come through that journey. But without having
one of my coaches, I'm not going to go into detail, but he said, there's basically 10 people in the world.
Yeah.
There's this type, this type, this type, this type. And when you're a coach, you realize that. And it's like, okay, this is who we're working with. We already know how to help them. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, everybody is different, but a lot of the problems and how to overcome the problems, it's all the same.
Oh, I have 3 people. I have 3 types of people. So I bucketed it down to 3. And I use a pirate mentality because, that's just fun. And that's where my bloodline comes from is pirates, smugglers, and then they fought for a bunch of people. They ended up doing a lot of good things in Ireland there. So now they have a whiskey company, and it has nothing to do with my shirt. I just like whiskey, but I didn't realize it was Diamondback. But the 3 type of people are these type of people. You have the captain. The captain's always looking for another destination to go to and people to follow them and the right people. That person's either a good captain or a bad captain. That doesn't matter. They have a captain mindset. And then you have the first mate, which is like a manager. And the best way to describe those people is like Henry Ford reinvented everything when he invented the assembly line. He took people that were making 10 cents an hour, and he gave them $1. He 10x'd it. And he said, all you got to do is manage this thing. And with a whole bunch of people managing things, it opened up the door to a whole world of a lot of things coming together quickly. So that whole mindset is being pushed into a lot of people's minds, and a lot of people think that way. I got to go to school, I got to get a good job, I got to save up money, and all that stuff is junk. But that's a management mindset, and there are people that need to be managers, and that's usually for a time span until they realize that they need to go one way or the other. The other way is crew. That's the person who does the work, and some people really enjoy doing the work. So a lot of people who look to coaching are crew members. They're really good at whatever it is that they do. They are bad at leading it, though. It's like they micromanage. So they find themselves here and there, and then they don't realize what they're doing to the crew that's supposed to be doing the jobs that they're working on. So whenever you talk to somebody, you do that initial assessment, you're like, you're really good at fixing plumbers, a pipe. And they're like, yeah, I'm the best. I'm like, but you hired people to fix. You understand what I'm saying, right? Like you can't be at every job site. And they're like, yeah, well, I want to make sure they're doing it right. You got to trust them that their certifications and the reason why you hired them are going to float them through, and that they're treating the customer right with any service business, right? It's culture and training. So you might be the best. What kind of training program did you put together for these people who aren't the best? And they're like, oh, I never think about that. Like, that's all free for your audience. But like, that's the process that I go through. I'm like, which one are they?
Yeah.
And then where can I bring them up to where they need to be? So some people need to be managers and they think they're leaders. I'm like, no, you got somebody else running that company. You got somebody else that owns the company. You are supposed to be here, and it's okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And yeah, it's so true.
Yeah.
There's 3 types of people. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Now that's something I can use too. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I really love the pirate stuff, man. Ever since I've been getting into it, I'm just crazy. Crazy. They're way ahead of their times, and then they got exterminated because they were not like anyone else. And what does that sound like? Every billionaire in the world that I ever met. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yep.
They're pirates. They essentially have a different mindset than everyone else in the world. And they went through these different levels of change. Some of them got mentored like pirates do. Blackbeard was mentored by like 4 pirates before he became Blackbeard, the most feared pirate in the world. And so like, it's the same process. And the more I read in and dig into it, the more I realize pirates are freaking amazing life coaches.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so awesome. And you're so right. All the billionaires in the world, they just think a lot different than average. And I don't know about you, but I have no interest in being average.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't been average my whole life, and I've been okay with that.
Same.
Yeah.
I can't be.
Yeah. Well,
I stand out no matter what.
Well, let's talk about that. So you become the average of the top 5 people that you hang out with is the popular
Yes,
thing.
you do.
Grant talks about your network is your net worth. And, if you watch Undercover Billionaire, you'll see what he's talking about there.
Exactly.
And then you have a lot of other people that have different phrases. The way I like to say it is you got to be careful on who you let in your life because they will change it. Notice I took out the numbers because it's not a numbers game anymore. We don't live in simplistic 70s and 80s where it's the top 5 because there, I guarantee you, are at least 300 people that you're engaging with on social media and in real life every day. So if you combine all of those people, that's a much larger number, but the ones you can control are still around 5. So this is what I would suggest. This is what I tell people. Who do you want to be like? Find them on social media because there's somebody that matches your personality type or has done something that you are trying to do now that already exists. Find them because they're findable. Follow their path. See what they did. And then if it works for today, follow it. But you can put them in your feed. You get free advice by following them. Just look at all these influencers. They're influencing your life. That's what it means. So if you go through your social media and you pull out all the people who are giving you the negative talk, telling you you can't do it, questioning some of your content. I had somebody who was like, hey, so you didn't really do that job. Yes, I did. I did that job here. And they're like, well, it makes it look like you're doing a different job. All right, man. I'm not going to block you. I'm just going to let you follow me as I continue to succeed with this mindset that I've already established based off of that job that I did that you will never understand because, bro, you're just not invited to the club and you never will be. So sorry you're hating on me. Doesn't affect my progress. But you start to recognize these people as they pop up once you become successful because people want you to be successful, just not more than them.
Exactly. Yep.
And I'm
Yep.
like, I'm not that person. I want to collaborate with other people who are trying to make a difference. And sometimes those differences are going to be personal because the personal agenda aligns with making more people better. And that's freaking okay. So if you have a personal agenda that aligns with something that's going to make the world better, I'm for you. I don't, whatever you want. You want a Ferrari? I hope you get a Ferrari. I don't care. Whatever you want to do that helps you help other people, I'm definitely going to collaborate with you because I don't see you as competition. I see you as somebody that will help the population get better. And if I can join instead of compete, which will just not work out, if I can join in that endeavor, it's going to work out. Zig Ziglar says, if you help enough people get what they want in life, you'll get what you want. And
exactly.
It's still true today.
Yeah, and that reminds me of a saying that Grant Cardone has. He says, don't compete, collaborate.
Yeah.
And that's so powerful. And that's what I'm focused on.
Well, he started doing that when he became a billionaire. He started talking about that because that's what billionaires do. You start looking at any conspiracy theory. Let's start there. You look at any conspiracy theory, they look at the most powerful people and they're like, well, they're talking to each other. That's why they're powerful. And the reason why you're not is because you're competing against your neighbor about whatever you have in your driveway. That's stupid too. They don't care what you have in your driveway. Why does it matter? Like, does it get you to the point? Does it do the job? That's what should matter. Stop competing with people who don't care. They won't.
Amen.
They never will.
Amen.
They never will care. So you're not going to make them.
Yep, exactly. I love it. Well, dude, you're just incredible. And before we go, is there any last thing that you would like to share?
Oh, yeah. I have this problem with people trying to be other people. So I want to tell everyone who's listening, if you've hung on to this conversation this long, you're probably looking for who you are, and you need to start in the mirror. Look in the mirror, really take a deep look into your own eyes, and you'll find that soulful purpose that you have whenever you really start focusing on that inner self. You can do it with breathing, with breath work. You can do it by writing it down. But the one thing you need to do is get it out of you. You know what it is. Guarantee you know what it is. For me, it was writing a book. I don't want to write a book, but I did it. And then it went well. It went really well. And so I did it again and again and again. But what I realized when I was writing and getting it out of me is I was getting it out and making it real. What a lot of people are doing now is they're consuming, and their reality becomes someone else's reality. What they're spitting out is someone else's junk, and they're messing it up. Yeah. And that's not helpful to the world. So be yourself. There's only one you, and you are freaking amazing. You are freaking the conqueror of the world. You are a king. You can make magic happen. I've seen it every day with a different person in play doing what they're supposed to do. And then I see a lot of people that are just NPCs, man, just going along, not doing anything, trying to stay with the grain, not doing anything with their lives because they're spitting other people's junk. Be yourself. Find yourself in the mirror, make it real, and go get it. That's what life's about. You only get one go at this. Let's go.
Hell yeah. I love it. I love it. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Nick.
I do gotta ask you though. So my slogan is your abilities are infinite. What does that mean to you?
Yeah. Your abilities are infinite, and a lot of times they're not uncovered until you need them. So looking at your life and seeing it in someone else's lens, or looking and comparing to someone else, is not something you should ever do, because your life journey is different than everyone else's, and you're going to uncover those things in an infinite pattern if you're looking for it. So your abilities are infinite, and it's so true. I totally agree with you, Nick. That's a great slogan. That's more of a way of life, though.
It is. It is. I agree. That is my way of life.
Yeah.
So that's why it is my slogan. So
Sure.
yeah, awesome. So how can people find you?
Yeah. I'm focused on LinkedIn right now. So I do Atlas Aultman is my LinkedIn. I was a top voice in LinkedIn this year for leadership specifically. That's a great process. I like to go in and answering all the questions for the experts of whatever, and then meeting other people in that space. Highly recommend LinkedIn. So Atlas Aultman, that'll actually get me. I'm on that platform. Atlas Aultman on Instagram. I'm on there every once in a while, but people help me with that. Facebook is that's I don't care about, and TikTok, I really hate China. So TikTok, I'm on there because I have to be, but like I'm going to put some stuff out there that I just don't like them, man. I've been almost banned from TikTok multiple times because I post things out there whenever I go to the range, and they're like, "It's a gun." I'm like, "Yep, I just killed a target. The paper is dead." So what do you want me to do with this? This whole thing. Whenever I take an animal out of the woods and the whole family's packaging it for a year so that we know where our food came from, they have a problem with that. So I'm just not a fan of TikTok. They're always trying to ban me.
Yep.
And then X, like I don't spend enough time on X to really matter. YouTube, find my TED Talk, and if you comment on my TED Talk, the person that says thank you, because I got people that are hating on me out there, which is great. I love that. That's how you know you made
too.
it. Yeah,
I love haters.
I've got some
too.
Oh, look at you. Someone's hurt.
Amen.
I don't respond to haters. So, but if they got some positive comments out there, if it starts to go negative, I don't even keep reading it. I'm just like, what next? I don't have time for that.
Yep. Same here. All right, man. This has been really great.
Yeah,
Thank you. If you enjoyed this show, please go ahead and share it on your Instagram story and tag me here, the Nick Yerhart. Also, go ahead and share it anywhere else that you see fit, because the only way that I can grow this is by you guys sharing it. I don't sell anything on here. I don't have any sponsors, so let's just get it out there by word of mouth and help more people. Alright, everyone, remember, your abilities are infinite.